All right, we're not talking playoffs here. We're just talking preseason, week 2, kicking off tomorrow night. Let's get into some storylines. Caleb Williams starts for the Bears. After not taking any snaps in the preseason opener, head coach Ben Johnson said he will play several of the starters against the Bills coming Sunday. Daniel Jones starting for the Colts in their second preseason game against the Packers on Saturday. Jones took over for Anthony Richardson, who dislocated his pinky against the Ravens last week. And Shedeur likely to miss the Browns preseason game against the Eagles Saturday with an oblique straining. So for that Wednesday, Sanders threw for 2 scores in his first ever NFL action last week against the Panthers. Maybe you heard about it because that's all the internet was talking about. NFL insider Dan Graziano joins the program to add a little gravitas. So, Graz, what is the latest on Cleveland's quarterback room and health situation?
Gary, almost everyone's hurt except for 40-year-old Joe Flacco. So that sort of makes him the odds-on favorite to be the Week 1 starter because he was probably at the front of the depth chart to begin with, and now Kenny Pickett hasn't been able to stay on the field. Dillon Gabriel just getting back on the field this week following his injury, and now Shedeur Sanders has a new injury. So, yeah, we have a situation here where Flacco looks like the starter by default. Gabriel and Sanders are rookies, the mid-round rookies that the Browns are trying to develop. They like what they're doing, but they don't feel either is a finished product yet. So maybe at some point this season, one or both of them develops to the point where they're comfortable with them starting a game. And of course, there's Pickett, who they traded for before they had any of these other guys, and they'd like to see what he can do too. So it should be a pretty wild ride all season long with the Browns quarterback situation.
Just a little bit. Hey, it's good to be 40. 40 is the new 30, and 40 is your new QB1 as of right now. Listen, there's no question who's QB1 in Chicago. Caleb Williams, though, obviously wasn't the smoothest of a rookie campaign. Dan, is there any worry heading into year 2 for Caleb Williams out of Chicago's camp?
I don't think it's worry. I think that the Bears coaching staff sees this as a project, right? And he needs some refining to his game, and they are working with him on those developmental aspects. So it's a process. The best quarterback coaches will, they have mile markers, right? He has to be this by this point, or else we change the plan. We spend more time on that part of the development. So he's going to play this weekend. I don't know how it's going to look. I mean, he's the kind of quarterback that when the lights come on, he's a little better. But if it looks sloppy, I think people need to realize they're working on some things with him. He's not supposed to be the finished product yet, and that's the way they're looking at it inside the building.
In the NFC North, with those teams and that talent, is going to be treacherous for Caleb Williams. All right, let's go to the AFC South. A little bit easier, right? What is the plan for Travis Hunter's snap split this season?
They're working on it, Gary. They're figuring that out. They plan to play him on both sides of the ball. The Jaguars believe Travis Hunter is a player that changes the math, that effectively gives them an extra player every week over what the other team has. And at the very least, the uncertainty over how he's going to be used might affect other teams' preparation for them. But they are using this training camp to figure out what he's capable of on offense, what he's capable of on defense, how much of both, and then they'll make the plan. I think there's a chance they could change it week to week. There might be a week where they're better off using him at receiver because maybe they're banged up there, or because of the opponent. Maybe it could depend on the matchup. So they are working on this, but they do plan to use him on both sides of the ball this year. He wants to do that. It's the reason they moved up and drafted him, is because they believe he can do that. How much of each is what this offseason has been for in terms of figuring that out for the Jaguars.
Sure, we're going to find out soon enough. The regular season for the NFL kicking off 3 weeks from tonight. Dan Graziano, nobody stays on the pulse better than you. Thank you, sir. Just 3 weeks away now from opening kickoff between the Eagles hosting the Cowboys at the Link. Yes, it is almost here. Question is, will Micah be? The Cowboys heading back to Texas, their annual training camp trip to Oxnard ending yesterday. It remains to be seen if Micah Parsons will join them. Hasn't spoken to media since the first day of training camp, but Jerry Jones was speaking yesterday about the standstill still.
What's preventing you guys from talking right now?
Again, really nothing.
So why don't you talk?
Again, nothing would be that, and we might or might not talk.
Think that talks would pick up a little bit with him?
I don't know that necessarily talks will, but we've got a game coming, and he's under contract.
Set to earn $21 million in the fifth and final of that rookie deal. Professional opinion havers strained themselves over Shedeur Sanders preseason. Sanders himself dealing with an actual strain of his oblique. Happened Wednesday morning before joint practice with the Eagles. Imaging confirmed a strain that'll now keep Sanders out of practice Thursday and most likely force him to miss Saturday's preseason game. The Browns have 5 quarterbacks listed on their depth chart, including Shedeur Sanders. Only Shedeur and the newly signed Tyler Huntley played in the Browns' first preseason game. I will look out for that, but we will watch for this. What to watch for? Brought to you by Sherwin-Williams. The Bengals head to Washington where they face the Commanders. We don't know what starters will play, but worth noting Joe Burrow had a fantastic outing last week, completing 90% of his throws, including 2 touchdowns. 50 states in 50 days, stops in the Lone Star State, a personal favorite of mine, so let me just set the scene. It's a chilly fall weekend in Arlington. Cowboy Stadium is filled. 60,000 people there to watch a football game, of course. But it's a high school football game. 60,000. That's what I experienced when I worked in Texas during state championship weekend. And the only reason it wasn't 100,000 is because the upper bowl was closed. Football is just different in Texas, and so too is the talent. What's that? You want me to prove it? Okay. Let's start with Patrick Mahomes. Dominated the league for the last 7 seasons. Grew up in Texas, a product of Texas Tech. Guns up. Matthew Stafford went to high school, Highland Park in Dallas. In his NFL career, Stafford has thrown for 377 touchdowns, second most of any active players so far. Multiple Super Bowl wins, a Super Bowl win. Baker Mayfield has a Heisman. He grew up in the Austin area, spent 1 season at Tech before crossing state lines to Oklahoma. Speaking of number 1 overall picks, this year's first overall, Cam Ward grew up in Texas. This season, Ward looking to join Warren Moon as the only Titans players to throw for 4,000 yards in a single campaign. Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray. I watched him win a state title at the aforementioned Jerry's World. He won a Heisman, and now, of course, he's under center in the desert. And the reigning Super Bowl MVP, Jalen Hurts, was born in Houston before making his way to Philly. Hurts ran for 72 yards in the Super Bowl, the most by any quarterback in a Super Bowl. So Super Bowls, Heismans, number 1 overall picks. The last 3 Super Bowl winning